Hi, everyone. On this episode of the Michael and Rusty Show, Michael and I are going to cover the aftermath of the Super Bowl, the victory by Kansas City over Philadelphia on Sunday. As well, we're going to talk about the CFL's first day of free agency signing. And we're going to finally talk about the Bulldogs in the OHL from Hamilton. The team is moving to Brantford for 3 years. And we're going to talk a bit about the genesis of that and what Michael thinks about the implications of that going forward. So, hello, Michael.
Hey, Uncle Russ.
How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad.
Great. So today we're going to talk first about the Super Bowl. That was a 38-35 victory by Kansas City over Philadelphia on Sunday. And my reflection on it was it kind of gave me some memories of the Giants win over the Bills in 1990, the first Super Bowl that the Bills were in, where they were completely shut out in the most of the game in terms of time of possession. Giants just kept the ball, and it was the same thing with the Eagles. The Eagles were leading by 10 at halftime, and the Chiefs in the first half only had just over 7 minutes of possession. So it was a really incredible victory by Kansas City coming back in the second half. Michael, did you catch the game, and what did you think of it?
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen a whole lot of the Super Bowl. I was watching it on phone because I was preoccupied with doing other things during the night. So, I should say, hearing Patrick Mahomes doing another comeback win is no issue, no surprise, I should say, because Patrick Mahomes in the last few years throughout his NFL career as a starting quarterback, he has been virtually lights out. And it was no surprise to us Bills fans, as you, Uncle Russ, and myself, all Buffalo Bills fans, and we're very accustomed now to Mahomes playing the way that he did to the Bills in the postseason, the last two postseasons, except for this one, of course. But Patrick Mahomes is got to be right in the conversations, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, let alone number 1. You got a really good case right now. 2 Super Bowl wins, I think, in 4 years. That's pretty mini dynasty-esque right now, even though Mahomes said after the game that he does not like the word dynasty quite yet, because I think, to me, dynasty, when you do 2 Super Bowl wins in 4 years, is not really much of a dynasty like what New England did during the 2000s.
Yeah,
when they won like 3 or 4. That's a dynasty. Yeah, the Chiefs earned the win the hard way. Jalen Hurts deserved better because the way that he played, minus that one fumble, he played near perfect, and that was an MVP-like performance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who won the MVP. I think it was Mahomes or something.
It was Mahomes.
Okay, so it was Mahomes. Yeah, with a bum ankle and sort of a lot of resilience, I think Mahomes was, in more ways than one, earned the right to be the MVP on that regard, despite his numbers were like almost 2 to 1 less than Jalen Hurts had for Philadelphia in combined offensive yards. So just one other thing, Eagles defense was not really like the level that they played throughout the year. they give credit to the offensive line because I heard during the pre-games and stuff, and I haven't saw a whole lot of the pre-game, but I know that the Eagles was going to trying to swarm Mahomes and trying to overwhelm the
Yeah.
offensive line of the Chiefs that have not been the greatest of ease at times. But the Bills' offensive line is almost Swiss cheese-esque, but still, the Chiefs' offensive line were really the MVP, the bona fide MVP of it because they kept Mahomes photo injury free, even though Mahomes injured his ankle again
Yeah.
in the first half, and also the Chiefs' defense made the best adjustments than what the Eagles had as a whole team in the court, despite the fact in the second half, despite the fact that the Eagles still managed to score the score during the second half, but it wasn't as proficient as it was in the first half.
Yeah, I mean the statistic that jumped out to me, and ESPN mentioned it in their coverage. I guess it was yesterday. Was that the Eagles were the first team since the 1974 Steelers to have the sack lead for the season going into the Super Bowl and not getting one sack in the Super Bowl. So that just shows how great the Chiefs' offensive line was. Not only that, there was the huge run by Mahomes. I think it was a 3rd and long late in the game. You know, here's a guy with a high ankle sprain, putting it all on the line and actually making a huge play for a big first down and basically helping them run the clock out on the Eagles. And not only that, Isaiah Pacheco, 76 yards rushing, I believe. They were able to run at key times, which was huge for their defense in the second half because they must have been gassed. They were completely left to dry in terms of time of possession in the first half. And one cannot underestimate the contribution of Rihanna and her halftime show to the fact that the Chiefs were able to regroup. That extra time was, I think, pretty crucial for the Chiefs. If it had been a regular halftime break, I think that the Chiefs could have been against the ropes, but they came back and really played well. So as a Raider fan, I have to give credit where credit is due. I agree with you. For me, a dynasty is having 3 Super Bowl wins or 3 championships in any league in 4 years. That's the general measurement today, and certainly the Chiefs are capable of actually having a dynasty next year if they can close the deal. But it was it was a big win and one of the better Super Bowls, I would say, that I've seen. Just the back and forth. The Eagles played very well. Jalen Hurts' fumble was, I think, the key point, because if the Eagles had gone down late and put another touchdown on the board and or even a field goal and put more pressure on the Chiefs, it would have been very tough for the Chiefs to come back, I think. So that was a great game, and I'm glad that I have NFL Network because I'm sure going to be catching the replays for that. Let's move on, and we'll talk about the CFL's first day of free agent signings for this year officially. So, do you have any thoughts on what you've seen for first day?
It was pretty interesting that the CFL free agency started on Valentine's Day of all days. And the theme of Valentine's Day is love. And for Ottawa Redblacks, they've been giving a lot of love to their fan base right now because They have signed several players. I know they retired on Antoine Pinot, who is one of my favorite players in the CFL. Had a good long career, but they got quality players from the Ticats, like it's Jonas Santos, who's going to probably play middle linebacker. And then you had Carrier Brooks, who is without a doubt one of the one of the top corners in the CFL. And then, yeah, it's just Jeremiah Masoli resigned to a contract earlier, like a couple of weeks ago, I believe, or last week. But yeah, the Ottawa Redblacks are starting to be looking more of Ottawa Tiger Cats. Yeah. Because there's a lot of former Tiger Cat players, and of course, the general manager of the team is a former executive of the team of Hamilton up until last season. So, I used to say 2 seasons ago. But yeah, look at over and Toronto had their thing. Montreal's got their QB and Corey Fajardo, Trevor Harris as in Saskatchewan, and Vernon Adams resigned to a contract in BC. Yep. Edmonton's got their stud receiver they have coveted for quite some time since Darrell Walker left. Darrell Walker left for TO, and I think he come back last season to the Elks.
So that was Geno Smith.
Yeah, Geno Smith. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Geno Smith
and Stephen Dunbar. Stephen Dunbar as well.
Yeah, they're starting to load up a little bit too. But yeah, for Hamilton's perspective, it's been a good contentious free agency so far. Yeah. Like they got James Butler.
Yeah.
That you played at BC. He was like arguably the best running back in the CFL.
Yeah.
Then you had the acquisition today of Joel Figueroa. They were going to probably play the position is very from years ago when he was a Ticat.
Yeah.
He's going to slated to play lap tackle, I think.
Yeah.
And then you bolster the defensive line. You had Sayers. We signed Ted Lawant. You got there was
JV and Elliott. The defensive back. Yeah, he's in as well. Yeah, a lot of these are not official though, but it's been talked about.
Yeah, it has been mentioned on the social media.
Duke Williams as well.
Yeah, Duke Williams. Like this team is going to be slowly but surely loading up for what could really be a long Grey Cup run.
Yeah,
but also the one player that has been getting a lot of buzz in Tiger Town recently, the last couple of weeks, was Samoy Lawrence, who just earlier today was in a promo with the Hamilton Bulldogs, promoting the Family Day game, and they're doing a 50-50 with the Bulldogs Foundation. So he was one of the promo did a promo. He was one of the frequent future promotion guy, and there's some buzz that he may resign to a new contract perhaps. Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting times. Excuse the noise behind my background. Samoy Lawrence is going to likely be getting less and less pay on the contract for the new contract, I should say. I think Samoy Lawrence is a future Wall of Fame. If anybody knows Wall of Fame is at Tim Hortons Field. And yeah, the Wall of Fame is probably going to have Simone Lawrence and probably Brendan Banks when their careers ended.
Yeah.
But yeah, my message to Tiger Town fans is that Simone Lawrence is going to resign, but it's going to be less than a star linebacker's money because he is at a point that he's going to reach the twilight of his career in a year or so. And you don't want to pay like top quality money that you can only have 1 good or 2 years left. So just you're gonna be patient. But if Lawrence does go somewhere else, I would not be too disappointed or sad, rather, even though Simone Lawrence. But it's just Simone Lawrence is gonna have to be at the best possible. You gotta be feeling the best possible way right now for his future, and not for the sake of resistance to the fans.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people on social media that the fans are going to be really uptight right now with Simone Lawrence news. If there's anything,
I think that, he has to think of his, he has to do business for himself. I've always felt that way. I don't have any problems with a player looking out for his interests and going for the best outcome financially. But I think that he knows his place as a great tire cat, and certainly the team, even though it was relatively quiet today, the re-signing of Tim White, the earlier signing of Bo Levi Mitchell as quarterback that we talked about last episode. The Tire Cats look like they're loading up for a run to make the Grey Cup at home and to win it this time. So definitely it's interesting. I was kind of taken back by basically the swapping of quarterbacks between Montreal and Saskatchewan. Montreal also signed Caleb Evans from Ottawa as the backup to Fajardo. So a lot of the problems that the Alouettes have had last few years has been due to the fact that the team hasn't had stability in its ownership situation, and the CFL just announced that they were taking the team over for the second time in recent years. And that is, I think, causing some players to think twice about sticking around until there's a better outcome for the ownership situation. So we'll have to take a close look at what Jason Moss is able to do as his first year in Montreal as head coach, with a lot of the turnover that's happening. But the East is going to be wide open again, I think. The comments that you made, I think, about Ottawa are quite valid. Not just the fact that they're signing a lot of Tarakat, former players, but the fact that they have Jeremiah Mazzoli coming back, and I think that if he can remain healthy, they're going to have something to say about how these shapes up. I wouldn't be surprised if Ottawa has an advantage now over Montreal just by the amount of dislocation to the Owls roster. So we'll see how that goes. Any thoughts about what you've heard about the Argonauts? I heard that McLeod Bethel Thompson has indicated that he does want to play another year, but it's not clear whether that includes the Argonauts. He may try to play in a spring league down in the States, or to try out in the NFL. What do you think about the situation with the Argos? And any other thoughts you have about what we should be expecting in free agency going forward?
As far goes the Argonauts concerned, or just like the league and
The
just the free
Argos,
agents?
the Argos in particular right now, but also just what do you see happening in the next few days with free agents across the league?
Well, I gotta take a little look at the free agency market for the Tiger Cats and all the other CFL clubs. But for the Argos, McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, you've got a pretty short window to consider returning to the Argos, because one quarterback in waiting that literally saved the team from losing the championship last year, and that's Chad Kelly.
Yeah.
Chad Kelly would be the consensus number one starter if McLeod, Bethel, Thompson decides to go in the spring league or let alone XFL to even try out with the NFL, like to give it a shot at the big league up in the States. Yeah, I think McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, for what he has done for Toronto over the last several years, have been, for the most part, been pretty positive. I know the issues they had with the turnovers and early in his career. He is one of the better quarterbacks, big throwing quarterbacks in the league, because he's got a cannon of an arm, and he's got a good receiving core in Toronto. I would rather think Toronto is gonna have to make a very swift decision on the quarterback position, because the training camp is coming up in about less than 3 months, so a couple months away or so. They gotta make a decision on the quarterback position, and if McLeod Thompson does come back, he's got to earn his right to be the number one QB for Toronto, because you could have Chad Kelly, who was rumored to be in the running for Saskatchewan earlier this year. Now he is, I think he's either a free agent still, or is he?
He's still, I think he's still with Toronto.
Okay, so he's the number one right now. But McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, if he does come back, he definitely needs to earn his number one spot.
Yeah,
because it's going to be a very interesting year for Toronto as they look to defend their Eastern Division crown and let alone the Grey Cup championship.
Okay, I think that the one thing that I'm looking forward to as a Terracat fan is the possibility of Jared Davis coming back to Hamilton. That's another rumor. If that happens, I'll be a very happy camper, because I think that one of the big reasons why Toronto won last year was his impact as a pass rusher. And Chad Kelly was the ace in the hole last year in the Grey Cup for Toronto. And I think that, I'm also, of course, a big a big Bills fan like you are. And, his relation with Jim, the great quarterback, Jim Kelly of the Bills. There's a little bit of a spark. There's a little bit of Jim Kelly in Chad. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up. It's Valentine's Day. I mean, these days, this time of year is basically when the free agency starts. So I think that life isn't a box of chocolates for some CFL teams, but certainly the Terracats are making a big run for the big package this year. So let's close up with the Bulldogs moved to Brantford. We talked about the First Ontario Centre renovations and its impact on the possible move to another location by the Bulldogs. And of course, we have news now. Tell us about what that news is and what's your thoughts about the current situation with the Bulldogs.
Well, 2 weeks ago, there was an article by the Hamilton Scott Raleigh, who made the note that, well, I should say, wrote the article, noted that the Bulldogs are in agreement with the city of Brantford. And there was a lot of uproar by the Bulldogs fan base, and justifiably so, but it wasn't mostly because of Anlino. The owner of the Hamilton Bulldogs, Michael Anlino, precisely. It was more with the situation involving the city of Hamilton and the selected group that was going to take over operations of First Ontario Centre, and as Uppbeat. And it was the miscommunication they had late last year as cultivated of the Bulldogs going to Brantford. And there was other locations that was considered. One Brampton, because it's an OHL ready arena, but it's like really, very far. And it had like the 401. If you go in the winter time, it's going to be very, very bad. It's the Power 8 Center. I think it's the CA8 Center now.
In Brampton?
And the other one is, yeah, Brampton. And then the other one is, was in consideration was Cornwall. And that was not going to be passable by Bulldogs fans who live in Kingston or the surrounding area in Cornwall, like say Ottawa or Napo and stuff. The situation with the Bulldogs going to Brantford is perfect for the fans, because the Bulldogs, in my opinion, needed to keep the fan base intact. Well, most of the fan base intact, because the fans, for the large part, in Hamilton live on a mountain in Ancaster, which is very drippable to Brantford, and they're going to be playing at the Civic Center, the Brantford Civic Center, which is 55 years old. But the Bulldogs are going to chip in for a $9-10 million renovation. That I think it's roughly close to 10 million, but the majority of that goes to going from the hands of the Bulldogs. But also, what's good to know, the city of Brantford is going to be paying $0. The citizens of Brantford will pay $0 to fund for upgrades of and fixtures of the arena to meet OHL standards. All the money that's going to be from the city of Brantford is going to be from the casino fund, which was in partnership with the OLG when the casino first opened many years ago. Yeah, it is a win-win situation for everybody in the Bulldogs fan base. And yeah, I understand the anguish that the Bulldogs and Uppbeat didn't come to an agreement for the Bulldogs to stay during the construction process, which is expected to be, as of right now, 2 years, beginning in late summer, early fall of this year. But a deal, which is a very, very enticing deal for Michael Allen and the Hamilton Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs, I should say, the Brantford Bulldogs soon to be. That lease is going to be a very, really good chance for Brantford to showcase the OHL once again.
I heard, just to point out that the agreement is basically 3 years, but there's also
yes
the opportunity to have 3 years extra year by year. So if there are any time overruns, that the Bulldogs would be protected. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, the thing is though, there's a lot on the chat, albeit prematurely, have said that the Bulldogs will not be coming back to the OHL. Sorry, the Bulldogs never coming back to Hamilton because of the past uh, situations in the past. You know, with the Finn Cups, Barton Forum went to St. Catharines a little bit and went to Mountain Arena, and then all of a sudden they moved in, and they didn't. They had a decent couple of decent years. The division finalists, I believe, twice, and they both lost to Windsor on both occasions. Yeah, so yeah, it's what's great about Brantford as well is the travel on the go transit from primarily McMaster University. It goes in 20 minutes, and it's only less than a 10-minute walk from the GO station in downtown Brantford, and you have a walkway down on Market Street. It's called Harmony Square, and they have a special walkway going down into where the casino and the arena is, which is going to be sweet.
Yeah, and it's 20 minutes from parts of the West Mountain to Brantford, at ideal pace. So the proximity is there. I mean, I think if you're talking about a location outside of Hamilton, it's the best one for a temporary home, I think.
Yeah, it's as a clean standing room only is only 3,400. Like I was at the other thing is, Uncle Russ, I was at the very meeting at City Hall last Tuesday,
right,
in Brantford to see the big moment in Bulldogs history. Is like this all the prevented had Hugh Peg would have been a little more transparent with the Bulldogs organization rather than getting literal equivalent of a very late notice to reload to force the three tenants, which is now two tenants because the Honey Badgers are no longer part of Hamilton CEBL. Now in Brampton,
the basketball team.
The basketball and the Toronto Rock lacrosse is subject to move. I don't know when. Where they're going to be playing, but I know they're not going to be playing at First Ontario Center at the same times as the Bulldogs are expected to be playing. So it's like you're guaranteed 2 years, but it could up to 3 years depending on what's going on with First Ontario Center. Again, like I said, it's preventable. The city of Brantford, to their credit, and especially Mayor, I believe, it's Cameron Davis and the councilors there, did a commendable job approaching to the Bulldogs for, let's just host an OHL team again. They have been knocking on the door for many years, but they had the interested parties must have had cold feet. Well, apparently the Michael Anwile gave them the sense of rejuvenation of hope that you can have an OHL team once again on a permanent basis. But I also don't be surprised with Mississauga's situation because they are in the midst of talking about renewing an arena agreement with the city of Mississauga. But I don't know what's the latest up there. But I won't be too surprised given the current situation. Steelheads, they could move to Brantford in 2 to 3 years after the renewed lease with Mississauga. So, and they could move to Hamilton to become the Hamilton Steelheads. You may never know. But this is a great day for a great moment in history for hot Bulldogs hockey, and let's hope everything will be good as goal for both Brantford and Hamilton for the next several years to come.
Oh, that's my sentiment too. So thank you for your input on that. And let's wrap up. I'd like to thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
And I'd just like to remind everyone, if you liked what you heard tonight, you can also like the video and subscribe to our channel as we cover the ongoings with the CFL, upcoming NFL draft and free agency, as well as the upcoming baseball season. So there's going to be other sports that we'll be covering. So until next time,
Absolutely.
we'd like to thank you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.